ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. Okay, Hare Krishna, welcome back everyone. Can we have the slides? We're resuming our series titled as Lead Like Arjuna. And today we are on to the fifth topic of our series, if I am correct, right? So last week we did 4, this week we'll also do 4 topics. So before I begin, I'll offer a quick prayer and then we'll start the session for today. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatadi Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Go Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So welcome again, welcome back. Today's discussion. Today's topic is titled as Chaos to Calm. We're going to speak about mind today. But before I begin with it, I'd like to give you or talk about one of the very famous personalities who's unfortunately no more with us. His name is Heath Ledger, a famous Hollywood actor who won numerous awards, accolades for his fantastic acting skills. Originally a native of Australia, moved to America and tried his luck with cinema and became very successful at the young age of 32 years. He had everything that we all can ever imagine: great wealth, great name, great fame, and tremendous influence. His last movie was The Dark Knight, for which he was given the best award for his acting in the movie. Unfortunately, he was no more, or he died unfortunately before the release of the movie itself. Died? Why such a young age? We define this as success, and suddenly such a successful man meets a tragic end. What had happened? This is, I believe, 2008. That was the year. I was in America myself that point of time. And this was somewhere around 1 o'clock in the afternoon at New York. He was staying in a hotel for the promotion of his movie, or they were just wrapping up the shooting, something like that on that regard. He came back home, he came back to the hotel, and his secretary or assistant reached the hotel after an hour to check onto him. And they knocked the door. When it happened, finally police were called in. They broke open the door. Around 2:30 p.m. approximately, I may be off a little bit on the time, around that time, Heath Ledger was found dead in his room. A medical autopsy was done, and through that medical report, it was determined that Heath Ledger died because of overdosage of drugs. So long story short, what had happened with Heath was he loved acting, and you can really act well when you really get into the role play of the character. And he had played a role of a Joker. If any one of you have seen the movie Batman, you understand the role of a Joker, somebody who was born and brought up through a lot of abuses. So this character of Joker grew up becoming a sadist, a hardcore sadist whose joy was seeing others suffer. So he wanted to really get into that mindset. So Heath really prepared, went through the script, went through the character, so much so he got so much absorbed in his mind about the character that, can you imagine filling up all that negativity? He could not fall asleep anymore. He started taking sleeping pills. So what had happened on that Monday afternoon when he passed away, 3 days straight he had not sleep, or he just could not sleep. He was totally exhausted. If any one of you have had an experience of spending a sleepless night for an exam or for something else, you know that what happens the next day, we become really, we can't function well. So he hasn't slept for 3 days straight. He has all the money, all the comfort, all the pleasure that he can ask for, but he can't get a sleep. He came back to the hotel frustrated, trying to sleep, take a nap, but he's not getting it. He emptied the whole bottle of a sleeping pill, and therefore he died because of the overdosage of sleeping pill drug. So the doctor said overdosage. Well, I don't agree with that. That's a little superficial analysis of it. The problem why Hathaway died because he was not able to control his mind. How many of you have had an experience? You may just give an indication by raising your hand or something. How many of you have had an experience? You're physically exhausted, even mentally exhausted, but you try sleeping it, but you move from one side of the bed to another side of the bed because your mind is so restless and so troubled. Whole night have passed by moving sides, but you haven't fallen asleep. That's the power of mind. He had influence of a large populace, yet he could not influence his own mind. According to World Health Organization, due to mental disorder or stress, every year we lose approximately 1 million people due to either suicide or related problems, which means one person dies every 30 or 31 seconds to be precise. So that's the power of mind, and that's the reason today we are talking about the subject matter. So what is mind? Mind refers to a cluster of thoughts, perceptions, and experiences. What all we have done gets stored in the mind. So it's like a cloud technology. Just like the body is a heap of food, so mind becomes the heap of thoughts, which means both positive and negative thoughts, and it has a drastic effect on our well-being. Therefore, Lord Shri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, what's the power of mind? Krishna says, Bandhuratmatmanastasya yena atmevatmana jitaha anatmanastu shatrutve vatitatma eva shatruvat. Hey Arjuna, for him bandhuratmatmanastasya, for him one who has yena atmevatmana jitaha, jita means conquered. For one who has conquered what? Mind. Mind becomes a friend, bandhur. However, one who has failed to conquer the mind, mind remains the worst of the enemy. So with that as a little introduction, let's begin our topic for today, chaos to come. What's the relevance of it for us at this point of time? Well, we all are living in a very fast-paced life. We all are running through. We all, every day, it's almost for an everyday pattern for us. We are bombarded with endless thoughts, worries, and distractions because of a fast-paced life. But what if we could really take control of our thoughts and eventually our emotions and finally our actions? Is that really possible? Yes, that's why we are discussing today. And imagine having a life where you have control on yourself, control on emotions, and how you feel, how you think. So, how many of you have ever felt overwhelmed by your thoughts, especially during high pressure situations like exams, maybe job interview or important meetings? How many of you have got stressed out because of a high pressure situation? While you're taking a time to think about, let me give you one example who inspired us all to read Bhagavad Gita. That is Arjuna. It was a high tension situation we have already spoken about. The very first session of the series was based on discovering leadership principles from Arjuna's life. That was a starting point for this series. And we discussed about how he became troubled when he saw his relatives. And from that crisis, we drew many lessons. So think about Arjuna, who he dragged Krishna from Dwarka to Kurukshetra and requested him to become a charioteer. Now requesting Krishna to drive his chair in the middle of the war. And he says, okay, Krishna, well, looks like I'm really not sure about if I should fight or not. In fact, I should quit. You know what he said? He became so depressed and so disturbed. Sanjay, describing his situation to Dhritarashtra, said as follows in chapter number 1, verse number 46. Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, which means giving his reasons to Krishna but not to fight, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. So, what was disturbing with Arjuna? Not him. His mind overwhelmed with grief. So, let's define mind. Let's give an acronym for mind. What mind stands for? M stands for magnifies problems. How many of you have had an experience, or maybe you can recall an incident when a negative thought magnified a problem in your life? Isn't that a little thing? We create a huge mess about it, and we literally kill ourselves by overthinking. Imagine you walk into the office, you walk into your college, and you greet a friend who's coming from the opposite direction, and that person happened to ignore you today. You said hello, and he or she didn't reply. What do you think is going to happen to you the rest of the day? How many of you think you're just going to think about why he or she didn't say anything today? Or maybe he doesn't like me, or maybe he's envious of my progress and whatnot. And that's how the mind keeps munching on and takes something which is not even significant, makes it so super significant, and creates a horror for us. So M stands for magnifies problems. I imagine pleasures or worries. I already spoke about magnifying problems, which means worries. I means imagine pleasures. I wish if I had the time, I would give you the whole example for each of this because we have only short time. So I'm just going to be point to point here. I for imagine pleasures. Imagine getting in, a job letter or offer letter from a company. How excited we become. And the moment we get job offer, we start thinking and daydreaming, oh, when I'll get my salary, what would I do? I will do this, I'll spend my money like this. Well, you're imagining about it, but you forget. To get the salary, you have to work for 30, 31 days, depending on how long is the month is. And for that, you have to really put your energy into it. Often we don't pay attention to the hard work that we need to put into it. We just become too attached to the result as if we're going to get it for free. And there we get distracted. So what happens then? M for magnifies problems, I for imagine problems. How often do you find yourself distracted by imagined problems or worries? I remember one IT guy who was attending my program. When he started joining my program, he was a young guy, freshly graduate. After 2 years being around, he went to America for on-site. And after a year, he came back. He came and met me in the temple, and he looked a little worried or an anxiety. I said, oh, welcome back to Pune. Glad to see you. What's going on? He said, Prabhu, I want to really discuss about some important thing. I said, yes, please tell me. He said, I'm really worried. I said, worried? Why? What happened? For so long, you wanted to go to America for on-site. You got an opportunity. Shouldn't you be happy? Are they asking you to come back to India? He said, no, nothing like that. My job is good. I have my extended project in America. Everything is good. I said, why are you worried? He said, I'm worried about my child's education. I said, what? I said, 1 year ago you went, you were not even married. Even if you got married within 1 year, it takes 9 months for the child to be born. If the child is even born now, it will take at least next 4 years for the child to get into education. What are you talking to me? He said, I asked him, where is your family? If in case you're married, where's your child? He said, Pabuji, meri to shaadi bhi nahi hui abhi. मैंने कहा, oh, बावड़े. Oh, you fool. If you haven't even got married, you daydreaming problems. Are you nut or what? So, M for magnifies problem, I for imagines pleasure or worries, and for neglect opportunities. We have already spoken about getting distracted, and our session title is procrastination. We sit down to study, and then we become restless, we begin to feel thirsty, hungry, and whatnot, and we just walk away to get some water or food, and we never come back. Not only that, how many of you have an experience? The moment your phone beeps, your heart begins to pulsate faster. Who have remembered me? Whatever I'm doing, hell with it. Let me just grab the phone and let me open the phone and see who have messaged me. And like this, we run through the endless cycle of distraction and always remain distracted and missing on the opportunity that we got to be attending to, being present and focusing on the task. Microsoft in Seattle office did a very interesting study. I'll just give you the summary of the study, what they found out. They said, if let's say you work for 20 minutes, and after 20 minutes, you have, let's say you got an email or a WhatsApp and whatnot, you attended to that, and you spend a couple of minutes. So according to that study, psychological study, they found out if in case, let's say after 15, 20 minutes of work, you took a break, you got some message or something, you get distracted, it takes literally 8 to 10 minutes for one to come back onto the work and focus what he or she was doing. So they found out it is in the best interest, at least we should sit straight for 30 minutes without distraction and then take a break and then again come back. But taking intermittent breaks, not even sitting straight for 30 minutes, can really affect our performance. And for neglecting opportunities, D for denies reality. I spoke about that also. We know about everything and everyone, but there's one person who we know the least, that is I. What we don't know about ourselves, we don't know our needs, we don't know our interests, and we don't know our concerns. What we call as today as our needs, interests, and concerns, these are all borrowed perceptions that we have got it from seeing others, friends, family members, what their needs, interests, concerns. We just take it for granted to be our needs, interests, and concerns, and the life just keeps moving on before we realize it is too late. Therefore, Krishna says, but before Krishna says what, let me tell you, it might sound frightening with this acronym for mind. Maybe I can take a quick vote here. How many of you agree this is a good definition for mind? Magnifies problems, imagines pleasures, neglects opportunities, and denies reality. However, there's a good news. Despite all the sadness here, there's a good news. We can change. We can train our mind. Therefore, Krishna says, Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, verse number 5. Udharadatmanatmanam atmanam avasadayat atmaiva hi atmano bandhur atmaiva ripuratmanaha. One must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is a friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. So Krishna says one should train his mind. Remember that famous movie Kung Fu Panda? The part one, at one point of time in his life, that panda was also troubled. And he said, I quit, like Arjuna on the battlefield said, I quit. And then we had Master Shifu or somebody, I forgot the name, Master Oguwe. He came and he spoke.
I mean, I'm not like the five. I've got no claws, no wings, no venom. Even Mantis has those thingies. Maybe I should just quit and go back to making noodles.
Quit, don't quit. Noodles, don't noodles. You are too concerned with what was and what will be. There's a saying. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That is why it is called the present.
So as you saw in this, we always panicking or regretful about our past mistakes, or else we are too much worried about the future. And we are always absent about our present, what we need to do. So that's our quick agenda. We'll keep it short and quick. So the idea Krishna says, all problems arises because of our mind. And if you really want to deal with it, we got to train our mind. Situations are going to come upon, stressful situations and whatnot. And if our mind is strong enough and if we have a good enough control on it, we can deal with all the challenges. You are a student dealing with academic pressure, uncertainty of the future. You are a professional, not sure about how your professional growth would look like, or maybe you're struggling with relationships. We can deal with it if in case we understand this topic of mind management. So let's begin with it. So that's our agenda. This is our agenda for today. Know yourself, nature of mind, and how to manage the mind. Let's begin with it. So life's secrets from Bhagavad Gita. The very first thing Krishna begins to tell Arjuna, first of all, you got to understand who you are. You think you are a body, you think you are a mind, but you are something beyond body and mind. So according to Vedic sciences, as compared to modern science, or the self is described as existing at three levels: body, mind, and soul. The modern science recognizes body, of course, and the mind, but to soul it has no access so far. So there's so much been said about this subject. You can refer to so many reincarnation videos on it. if you wish to study on this, as this is not my topic. But let me give you some clues here which you can look into it. Dr. Ian Stevenson from America, he certified more than 2,500 cases of reincarnation, which means rebirth happens. If rebirth happens, what takes rebirth? As Krishna says, Bhagavad Gita, Dehinusmin yata dehe kamaram yavanam jara tata dehantara praptir dhirasatra namuhyati. This second chapter, verse number 13, is the soul which goes on, moves on from the young child to the grown up to old man, and finally after that takes another body. So what takes rebirth? It is a soul which acquires another set of body, like that. So we'll try to understand this concept more in a relationship of the functioning of the mind. So I like to give a quick analogy here. So we're talking about three-level existence of the self: physical, mental, and spiritual. Body, mind, and soul. We'll try to look at the relationship of each of it together through a smartphone analogy. For a smartphone to function, we need three things: hardware, software, and user. Where hardware is like a body, software is like a mind, and user is the soul. So let's take a case. Imagine if your smartphone gets infected. So what's get infected? It's a software. So what happens? When a smartphone is infected, the user expects response A, but it gets an altered response. Similarly, in our life, we all want to be happy, but because of the problem with the mind, we don't necessarily become happy with whatever we do. Let me give you an example. Imagine there is a beautiful hill station here next to Pune that is called Mahabaleshwar on one side and Lonavala on the other side. Let's say you go to Mahabaleshwar for a weekend and you check in one of the best hotels. Let's say there's a beautiful resort called as Ramsuk Resort, and you check in it and you check in a suite which starts from 25,000 per night, and you're really in the vacation mood. You really want to take a break from your hectic life. You go there. It's on the top of the mountain. There's nothing around it. It's surrounded by forest. So imagine you enter the room. It's an evening time, and it's a beautiful sight. You go across the end of the room. You open the window, and the window opens to the moonlit night, sparkling stars. You look down the valley. There's a beautiful, huge Krishna river flowing, and the stars are sparkling on the riverbed, and you can smell the fragrance of the wild forest flowers. It's a perfect scene, and you're like, wow, what a beautiful sight. You're really rejoicing it. Suddenly, a friend or brother comes from behind, puts his or her hand on your back, and says, "Tat teregi, यहाँ पे भी जियो का signal नहीं आता." So you went all the way so far to really find meaning, you really find some moment of joy for yourself. Even in such a situation, somebody has reason to complain because the software is corrupted. That's the point here. Now imagine if somebody is using that infected machine for a long period of time, what will happen? Imagine you give a smartphone to a villager who really doesn't understand how smartphone functions. You teach him. You dial numbers like this and it will connect you to me or to somebody else. So whenever this person presses 1, it always dials 9. How many of you agree? After a while, that person who is a layman, who doesn't understand how smartphone functions, would begin to take corrupted situation of the smartphone as a default condition. Oh, it looks like whenever I have to press nav 1, it always dials 9. Maybe this is how it works. Similarly, because we have been living with our corrupted mind all this while, not knowing much about the nature and the qualities and way to deal with the mind, we accepted its default base nature of nagging, complaining, fault finding, and whatnot as a default nature of our existence. But it doesn't need to be like that. Similarly, people find it so difficult to disengage themselves from the whims of mind, considering it to be the natural urges. So if you want to fix it, who can help you? Well, you bring your smartphone to somebody who knows about how smartphone functions and has the technology to fix it. That person can fix the smartphone. Similarly, the science of the self or the science of the soul is being delineated in a text called as Bhagavad Gita. When we study Bhagavad Gita, this becomes the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna teaches us, first of all, he defines the problem, that is the nature of the mind, and how to fix the mind. And like that, we can fix the mind. So, three things. We exist at 3 stages: the body, mind, and soul. Important facts. Improving hardware cannot treat the corrupted software, which means physical progress alone cannot bring mental peace. Quick example, imagine you're very hungry. You go to your home, sit down at the dining table, and your mother brings your favorite food to you. You're sitting down to eat, but you've had a very rough day and you're totally stressed out, totally in anxiety. Even while you're sitting down to eat, you're getting phone calls because something has happened in the office, some urgent thing, and there's a lot of blame game is going on. So think about it. Although you have the best of the food in front of you, although you're very hungry, can you really rejoice eating it? Can you really be happy? Can you really enjoy it? That's not possible. If mind is disturbed, everything else is disturbed. Okay, move forward to the second point here. What's the nature of mind? Okay, so Krishna says the nature of mind is as follows. Bhagavad Gita chapter number 6, verse number 34. Chanchalam he manha Krishna pramati ballabhadradam tasyaham nigraham manye vayuriva sudushkaram. I can control the raging wind. Arjuna is saying, I can extinguish the forest fire which is going in LA right now, but I cannot extinguish the fire which is raging within my mind. It's more powerful than that. So what is the nature of the mind here? Arjuna says, flickering, which means sankalpa vikalpa, always changing a decision. How many of you have had situations where you find too difficult, or how many of you had an experience it's too difficult for me or for you in that way to really take decisions? Even if you take decisions, it's too difficult for me to stick to that decision. Look, Arjuna, how flickering his mind was. He brought Krishna from Dwarka all the way to Kurukshetra, and after bringing him over there, he says, Krishna, thank you for coming, now you can go back, because I've decided not to fight. What? Are you kidding me? And that's what Arjuna did. Second, Arjuna says about the nature of the mind, obstinate and strong. How many of you have that experience? If your mind makes a decision for something, then it's so difficult to give up that idea. I had a friend, a student who was coming to my program. He was telling me how he came back from his office around 9 o'clock in the night and had his dinner by 10:30. He was about to go to sleep on bed by 11 p.m. And he thought, before I sleep, why don't I quickly check out the headlines? He switched on the TV and he saw an advertisement of noodles. And he loved eating noodles, and it's been several months he hadn't eaten noodles. So he began to think about it, bunch about it, and his mind became so strong. He said, no, I want noodles now. 11 o'clock in the night, he came down from his building, got on the bike, and went in search of Pune, in search of noodles. Unfortunately to him, he could not find noodles that night. He came back by 1:30, frustrated, angry. He went to sleep. Next morning, he was supposed to report at 8 o'clock for an important client meeting. He woke up at 10 a.m. You can imagine what would have happened to him. And then that particular evening came to me and told me the story. And he said, Prabhu, now I've understood. Well, mind is so powerful. So obstinate and strong, cannot get the thoughts out. And Arjuna says, is turbulent, which means once it makes a choice, decision, it becomes totally shameless and reckless. Breaks down all walls, does not ask permission, does not care for anything, anyone. All our so-called emotions and love, they have no value when our mind becomes so adamant about it. So that's the nature of mind, that's the nature of enemy within us we have to deal with. So let's come to the last point of this presentation today, how to manage the mind. So when Arjuna spoke Chanchalami Mana Krishna, when he described the situation, the very following verse, Krishna gives the solution. Krishna says as follows, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Asamshayam Mahabhaho Mano Durnigraham Chalam Abhyasena Tu Kaunteya Vairagena Cha Grihate. The 6th chapter, verse number 35. Arjuna, what you're saying is correct. Mind is difficult but not impossible. You can control the mind by two things. What is the way to control the mind? Krishna says, Abhyasena Tu Kaunteya Vairagya Cha Grihate. By suitable practice and by suitable detachment. What is detachment? You remember we talked about in poetic leadership. If you want to cultivate goodness, you have to give up two things. What are the two things? First, aversion to right things, and second, attachment to wrong things. Similarly, when Krishna says Vairagya, so we have to give up our attachment to wrong things and aversion to right things. And suitable practice. So let me describe what is a suitable practice here for today's discussion. We've already talked about right and the bad things in the previous session. So there was a study done by the scientists of MIT and Harvard neuroscientists. on the subject matter of meditation. And what they did in the study, they had a group of students who, for a couple of weeks, they requested them as a part of experiment every day do meditation, and then they had another set of students who they asked them to live their life as regularly and have nothing to do with meditation. And after studying the students for a couple of weeks to a month, then they came up with this conclusion. See for yourself how a meditation, 10 minutes to 15 minutes of meditation every day for just for a few weeks brought about a significant difference in the lives of these individuals. Let's take a look first. So the study found out, as I said, our data indicate that meditation training makes an individual better at focusing. We were talking about distraction, mind is too restless. So those who do regularly meditation, what meditation? There are different kinds of meditation. The best of the meditation, which is described for today, day and time, is said to be chanting Hare Krishna. Please repeat after me if possible for you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We chanted at a stretch 108 times. That makes it one mala. And it's my humble request to all of you to begin with at least 2 rounds, 2 mala. It'll take around 15 minutes, and that completes your 15 minutes of meditation. It's very important you speak audibly, loudly enough to hear yourself. And if you can count on your fingers, that'll keep your senses, it'll keep, and hearing, it'll keep, you have the greatest sensory perception here and experience, so your mind will remain focused. So those who meditate regularly, they become better at focusing. I ain't saying this, Krishna is not saying that. Of course, Krishna says many things about the importance of meditation. I'm quoting you scientists. They have even experimented and discovered. They found out those who regularly meditate, they cultivate an internal awareness, self-discovery, self-awareness. Who am I? What are my needs? Once again, what are my interests? And what are my concerns? How I really want to live my life, what I like and what I dislike. The subjects trained in meditation also reported that they felt less stress. In other words, you become far much more capable of handling stressful situations. The researchers are now planning follow-up studies in patients who suffer from chronic pain as well as cancer patients who have also been shown to benefit from meditation. We are talking about on the physical level. Now imagine the benefits of meditation would have at the spiritual level. So the whole goal of chanting, the meditation that we practice, of course, we say meditation does what? It gives you a healthy body, peaceful mind, sharp intellect, and jolly soul. So yes, when we do meditation, you'll be able to handle your stress, you'll become more focused, free from distractions and whatnot, more relaxed, and most importantly, it helps us reconnect oneself with the divine grace. As I said in the very first session, Bhagavad Gita is at 3 levels: relationship with the self, with others, and the divine. And relationship with the divine is the most important. That nourishes relationship with others and with the self. So if you want to have access to that divine grace, then meditate every day. Chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. To summarize, this is some of the benefits of mantra meditation. First, it pacifies the mind, calms the mind, frees from all kind of random thoughts, exercises the mind. The mind gets distracted, bring it back onto the sound vibration that you're uttering. That is a mantra. So that strengthens the mind. Third, energizes the mind. The sound vibration, the holy names, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, is a spiritual sound. Just by chanting it, it removes all the negativity stored in our mind. And fourth, heals the mind. All that past samskaras of grudge or ill feeling, whatever we have, or whatever wrong others have done to us, whatever those bad emotions that we're carrying, just by chanting every day, taking shelter of the holy names every day, doing meditation every day, our mind will let go of the past, become free, and live in the present. With that, I conclude here for today. As Krishna says, Bandhuratmatmanastasya yena atmaivatmana jitaha anatmanastu shatrutve vatitatmaeva shatruvat. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. To conclude, tackling mind or managing mind is not a luxury but a necessity. In today's day and time, it's so important. The practice of meditation or mind management empowers one to navigate through the challenges of life with grace and resilience. And reading across the news of so many young students because of academic pressure committing suicides, or professionals becoming disheartened, disturbed mentally, it is so important today. So let us remember the acronym once again, where M stands for magnifies problem, I for imagines pleasure, and for neglect opportunities, and D denies reality. But this time, let the acronym for mind stand for mastery. For M, I for intelligence, N for nurturing, and D for discipline. With discipline, we can master our mind if we practice meditation every day. And so let's embark on this journey of mind management and pave the way for brighter and more successful life. So, to summarize for today, we discuss three things. First, who am I? Bhagavad Gita says we exist at three levels, or the Vedic sciences says nature of mind, flickering, restless, very strong, and turbulent. And how to manage the mind? We studied this. We referred to the study by the MIT, and Harvard neuroscientists prescribing meditation. To conclude with, if in case you felt, oh, mind is definitely so overwhelming, would I ever be able to control it? So, before I conclude, I would like to show you something, and then we pause for today. That's our concluding message for all of you today.
Such a feeling's coming over me. There is wonder in most everything I see. Not a cloud in the sky, got the sun in my eyes, and I won't be surprised if it's a dream. I'm on the top of the world.
This is the end, beautiful friend.
How many times we are overpowered by our restless mind? It fills us with negativity and total hopelessness. But that's where the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita comes handy. Don't say quits. Get up and fight. Fight your battle. Only then you can win your battle. With that message from our dear mouse, I'll pause here for today. Thank you for your all kind attention. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna.